Is it Motel 8 or Motel
Maybe
6?
it's Motel 6.
Motel 6. Okay. Yeah. It's more of a 6 than an 8.
Yeah. Tops out
Six
at
on
a
a good
6.
day.
On this week's episode, Lindsey goes to France, Porsches are blowing up, we make green cars great again, and Stellantis just keeps killing it. Don't forget the pate and always be driving. It's That Car Show. It's That Car Show.
Hello.
Guys.
Good evening.
Bonjour.
Someone made a last-minute trip to the continent.
Someone did. Yes.
Go to Rétromobile.
There and
What is
back
Rétromobile?
again.
This is one of those things that just sort of existed in, my world of Someday and like Car Week and Amelia Island but this is one I have yet to check off, and yet you were just there.
I was. Yes, it came together exceptionally last minute. And it is, I knew it was a big event, but really the extent of my knowledge was Instagram, seeing friends post when they had been in years past. And same thing, I went, kind of the FOMO was getting more and more every year when I would see it. I go, oh, that's right, I really want to go. So it is a showcase for the classic car sector is the way they talk about it. Bringing together more than 2,000 cars and motorbikes from a huge range. There were modern, there was a 992 GT3, we saw GT3 RS, and then Citroen from World War II. There was a huge display of those. And then kind of everything in between, motorbikes, bicycles, cars, miniatures, collector's items. There were some booths that had books, like, big displays of car books, memorabilia. I mean, it's the scale.
Not really comparable.
No, I mean, the scale was stunning. It's like, you remember how big the LA Auto Show, which is several halls in the convention center. That's how Rétromobile is. And they had 3 halls, and it's just sort of, there is so much. It's massive, and there's something for everybody. Huge variety, and just there isn't anything like it here, which is part of the reason they announced while I was there that they are bringing it to New York in November of 2026.
Okay, interesting.
Yes.
Interesting.
Wow.
So it was really fun to be there with that announcement because they're all really excited to bring it here.
So I have so many questions. So it's an exhibition. There's an auction component.
Yes.
There's a concours, like a judge component. No, like what? Like
they
this
did
just sort of seems
award
like everything to everyone. Yeah.
It really was. I mean, that was, even after just a few minutes there, I went, okay, it's a combination of all the events that we have here that are standalone events, because it reminded me, I was like, okay, there's a little bit of, there are elements of Car Week. It's a very different venue, but the classic car element is similar to Car Week. And then a little bit of SEMA, a little bit of Porsche Lit Week, because that's so focused on, the books and collector items and the, Matchbox cars and that kind of thing. So there's that element. Yeah. And then in, a couple of the different halls, they had the live auction that was going on site. One of the auction houses in Europe, Art Curial Motor Cars, they were the on-site auction company. And then in that same hall, they also had space for enthusiast clubs. And of course, I ran across the American Muscle Car French chapter. Without even trying, I found them. Yes, they just drew me in. And then the club that was across the aisle from them, a lot of the members were sitting there. I mean, this was the charm of Rétromobile, is they're sitting there at a table having pâté, just enjoying themselves. I mean, it has elements of a lot of the different events here, but with an incredibly European flair, as you might expect. And, there were one of the booths there were some musicians, live musicians. And then at one point there were people in, retro, turn of the century almost clothing on old bicycles riding through the show.
Pickpockets everywhere.
Right.
No, I'm kidding.
No.
Sounds amazing.
It was.
It's all indoors. It's all part of one complex, so it's not like you're going off site for anything, right?
No, it was just like if you've been to a convention center and you move between the halls. It was like that was a standard
Interesting.
experience. But yeah, I mean, it just was like you have to
And this
see it
is
to believe it in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
the outskirts of Paris or in the center of
Yes.
Paris? Where is it held?
It's at the Paris Expo Convention Center, which is I was in a neighborhood in Paris, and it was about 25 minutes by metro, so it's on the edge of the city, but
Yeah.
very easy to get to. I was there for such a short time that it was nice to stay in Paris, because then for
Yeah.
dinners and the one day that I took to sort of soak up Paris, it was easy to see, to get to the different places that I wanted to check off. But it was really easy to get to the event.
So going into this, like completely ignorant to the history of this thing, how long has this been going on? Is this like the future of the car show? You mentioned it's going to New York. Like we all know, like the decline of the New York Auto Show, right? I mean, is this going to take its place for people like us? Like what?
No, I mean, I think it's going to complement it because it's so different. It's not a modern auto show in that sense. So, and I was able to meet the gentleman who is heading the New York event, Gérard, and I got to chat with him for a bit, and his enthusiasm was, contagious, and they're just so excited. And he said, part of the reason they're so excited is because we don't have anything exactly like that here, even with all the events we have.
Yeah. And Denver was not on their short list of cities.
It wasn't, but it was, I mean, it was so nice to talk to him because obviously they're in the middle of the event. We all know how busy that is, especially if you are on the team putting on the event. You don't have a lot of breathing room, but he took the time to chat with me and talked about why they landed on New York. And that's because they wanted they want to draw from Europe and the US.
Okay, makes sense.
So they thought that was striking a balance. It's not it's not extremely far for one or the other. And hopefully they can draw from both. And, they didn't want to compete with, like, obviously you're not going to do it in August because you have Car Week. That kind of thing, where they looked at when are the big events here that they don't want to compete with. They want to have their own space so that people would actually come and enjoy it.
Well, and I think New York is underrepresented. I guess is what I was getting at. I mean, Denver was a joke, right? But LA,
throw
right,
your
would be
hat
like
in the
the
ring.
first. Yeah, that's right.
Shoot your shot.
Right. But I mean, New York does make sense, And do you know how long this has been going on? Because I feel like I've heard of it for a while, but increasingly more in recent years. Like I've heard this is the place. There's like a flea market component. Like if you need like a dash switch for your like Oscar, whatever, that's where you find it,
some
right? Or
esoteric part.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's, I guess that like we're sort of illustrating the point without planning it, is how many different elements are represented. It makes for such a unique event, and unlike anything we have here, because there are parts brokers and there are classic car brokers, and then you have it's like every element of the car hobby in one giant event.
Yeah.
So this was the 49th year of the event in Paris.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
And who's behind it? Is it like
it's a group, and I'm going to pronounce it the anglicized way, obviously, but it's Comexposium.
Okay.
So my friend Romain is the director of the event. And I've gotten to know him at Car Week, and I definitely didn't pronounce that correctly, but hopefully he'll forgive me. So Romain runs Rétromobile Paris, and then Gérard he will be running Rétromobile New York.
Amazing. Do you know where in New York it'll be?
The Javits Center.
Oh, no, interesting. Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. Yeah. Huh.
Yeah. So
Have they work with Teamsters yet?
Don't know about that. Yeah. But,
Sure, there's a
one of the
French
things, I had a chance to talk to Romain quickly, and he was saying the prep had gone very smoothly, and I think attendance was up 24% maybe from the year before. Like he has run the event for the last 3 years. And before that was part of the organization and, learning the ropes, and just, he was really excited because a lot of young people came this year too.
Awesome.
And so it's nice to see that, because the show can continue on, and obviously it's drawing in the next generation of enthusiasts. And I know that's something that we all think about. And so it's good to see.
And
Sounds
to put
amazing.
it in context a little bit, obviously we have a researcher for the show, and the researcher tells me that there were over 100,000 visitors to the show this year. Did it
So
feel like 100,000?
it definitely did. And I was doing a little support research to back up our very hardworking researcher. And the figures that I saw said more than 146,000 people. And so it started on the 5th. They had a preview on the 4th for media in the evening. And then it was the 5th through the 9th. So it's over the course of the entire event. Yeah. And
Is this a pricey ticket? Obviously, you got to get to
can
Paris.
be if you buy, if you buy the pass for the full event.
Yeah, yeah.
But you can buy a 1-day pass, and you can do it in a way that makes sense for you. And I should correct myself. It was up 12% from 2024. That's where it was.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Did
Yeah.
you run into anyone? Any
Yes.
friends? Yeah, I figured you would. Yeah,
So my friend Lara joined me to go. Her Instagram is that Porsche girl. So she was able to join me and go with me. And then we ran into Steve Serio, who's based in Boston. He's the Real Bond Group on Instagram. He's the broker that works with Cam Ingram and Peter Brotman. So we ran into Steve and Peter on the floor of the show, like not long after we got there, and had a chance to catch up with them. And that was super fun. And then once I really realized the scale of the show, it's remarkable that we ran into them.
yeah. It always happens, though, right? Well, of course, you know everyone too. Which
It was
helps,
so
right?
perfect. Well, and we had been in touch ahead of time, both of us, saying we wanted to get together because we knew we were all going to be there. And then we just happened to see him right away. So it was perfect. And
awesome.
got to chat with him. And Peter has that gorgeous lime green Miura that was all over Instagram, I think, last year. And we ran into them right by. There was another green Miura that was gorgeous, but it was more of a, it was sort of like a teal British Racing Green hybrid. But the even more remarkable was that the interior was full green, like steering wheel, seats, carpet, everything.
So I don't want to change the subject too much, but I've become obsessed with green cars all of a sudden. Like it's
You're
1990
right
and I'm
on
shopping
trend.
for a Lexus, gold package and stuff. But I really have fallen in love with that, like a Brewster green or something. And, so I was on the GT3 configurator and I thought, how cool would that be to do like a green interior, like with a green, like such a nod to like the 70s or whatever, but it would be impossibly expensive, but, if you're gonna, there was an orange Aston Martin on auction there as well.
Yes.
Did you see that? That was like
We
everything
got
was
to see
orange.
that one in person. And so that's what
If you're
was,
gonna go all out.
that's what I was saying. Initially you kind of go, oh, that's a lot of orange. And that one actually had color matched the wheel. The center of the wheels was orange too.
Yeah.
But it would be such a conversation piece at a minimum. You take that anywhere. It was striking. It was a conversation piece. And that one was all orange. And it's like, you got to appreciate the commitment to the color because like you said, it was orange steering wheel, orange headliner, orange upholstery, orange carpets,
everything.
orange wheels, center of the wheels, the color, obviously the exterior color was orange. But what struck us too, very unexpectedly was, so we went to Bonham's first, because the big auction houses do auctions in Paris the week of Rétromobile because everybody's already there. And the Bonham's auction was happening the day I got in. So we went there and they had a Ferrari 400 that was, if you want a green car, Ryan, this is the green car for you.
I have a thing for the 400. I really do.
Okay.
They're very much of an era.
It was, and this one in particular was just so charming that I kept coming back to it because so they had, the way Bonham's was set up, it was at the Grand Palais in Paris. The auction was inside and they had a display outside with 5, not hero cars, but featured incredibly, rare, historic cars. And then another display outside just below those. And then others were over in another, like a storage area. And so you take a shuttle to that. And this Ferrari 400 was in the group that you had to take the shuttle to. But I kept going back to it because, so green exterior, completely green interior, again, green steering wheel, green upholstery, green carpet, everything, green carpet in the trunk, and then green window tint, which I've never seen before in my life.
That's a
like
flex for sure.
That's taking it to another level, right?
It's kind of like the watch world, though. Like the funky stuff in the long, term is the stuff that really keeps its value. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't have even known about that orange car, but our buddy Maurice Merrick at Horsepower Heritage had Eric Meinhof, I think his name is. Eric
yeah.
Meinhof from Bonhams, who talked about some of his favorites, and that orange car was one. But I think there's something to that. I always like those OG AMGs, like the hammers and all that, where everything was like red, right? Down to like
Right.
the grill and the star. I think that's just,
Like if we said red, if we said this color,
I mean,
you
that's
can
a
count on. Well, and what
that's
was
a
so
certain customer. Yeah.
what was so funny, well, and I have to say, Richard Stafford was one of the auctioneers at Bonhams who worked that particular auction, and they trade off. They have a few different, but he happened to be at the gavel when the 400 came up.
That's the
And
the clip you posted. Yeah.
Yes, he had, I mean, probably my favorite quip of the whole trip, make green great again. So funny.
That's a hat for me. Yeah.
It was so funny. But so that was the first green car. Then we got to the event the next morning, and there's this Miura that has almost the same interior. Like the leather looked the same, full green again.
Yeah.
Then when we finally made it over to the other halls, there's a vintage Porsche Turbo with a full green interior. So I think there was some stealth collector who's just been like dribbing, drips and drabs. His collection is being released, and or there was something going on in Europe in the 80s with the green interior where they're like, this is the business. So
yeah.
But there definitely it felt like there was an unintentional theme for sure.
Well, that's where you're going to see that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then there was a Skoda Felicia, which of course I just kept.
I don't even know what that is.
Felicia.
I got to look that up.
Like a
What
modern
they
one.
said when it rolled off the
Right.
auction block.
But it was a
Okay,
brilliant
modern.
green.
Yeah.
Yeah, so green was a theme through the trip, which was fun. But
All right, I'm looking this up.
I'm looking at pictures of this 400.
yeah,
It's definitely
what do you
green.
think? It's definitely.
Skoda Felicia's like a little Kana box.
Oh yeah, but it was
Yeah,
cute. It
okay.
was like brilliant
All right.
green.
Got it.
Because then it's like anything. When you see something, then we're like, there's green everywhere. But these three examples
Right, now I
with
gotta
the
look
green
up the
interiors really stood out, like really special. But
Yeah, I mean, again, we've talked about this before. That's not like a second or third car. That's your 16th or 17th or
right, that's
401st or whatever.
well,
that's,
and it is same with the orange car where you're like, you buy that just because you're like, it's so bad it's good, and I want to have it when I feel like going to Cars and Coffee and just sort of causing a scene and looking absurd and just like making everybody smile.
Yeah, this is so. Yeah, what would you call it? Oh, yeah, there's the green. I'm looking at the Bonhams car now, the 400i.
Yeah.
That's pretty great. Like you got a place in Palm Springs or something, right? I mean,
Right.
that's the car right there. That's awesome.
Were they all automatic, or did they do a stick one?
There was a manual.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That
yeah,
one
but
was
it didn't have a
automatic.
gated shifter. Yeah, it had that bag shifter, right, which just doesn't quite have the same, cachet or whatever as
There's no clunk click, is there?
But I think the argument has been made that that maybe the automatic is where it's at. It's kind of like a 928, like a Porsche, right? Like where maybe the automatic suits it, in some strange way, right? It's a GT car, right? I mean, it's
Right, because it's got, it has a back seat. So, that's your vintage family Ferrari.
yeah. Can you imagine though? Like, just we've talked about this again before, but like loading up, like I guess in this case, your family and heading to I don't know the south of France or whatever. I mean, it's just
Right.
what a
In your
don't know.
green on green on green on green on green Ferrari.
yeah. No speed cameras. Everyone in the car's got a cigarette, including the kids. It's just like that was living, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah, I don't know, guys. I'm approaching 50 here. I got to start doing a little more living. Maybe it starts with the green 400i Ferrari.
Right.
No more GT
Yeah.
silver Porsches for me.
So which color, if you guys were going to pick a car and commit to it, or pick a color and commit to it the way that these commendable collectors did, which color would you pick?
Now, what's the car? Because
You get to
color's
choose. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
You get to choose, and I don't think that's as important.
Yeah.
It's like, what color would you want to be surrounded by? Like
Right,
every
just like-
element of the car.
like the name was it Greg Blue came up right before we started recording, and he's obviously his name is Blue. It's blue cars, right?
He's
I think
committed to
maritime
blue.
blue is kind of his thing. Yeah, so you're going to commit to
good choice.
something. Yeah, it is. It is. And so no silvers, no blacks, no.
No, it has to be a color. Like if we want
Yeah.
to get really crazy, we could say primary or secondary, but
Yeah, yeah.
if that makes it easier
Blown
for
my
you.
ideas out of the water. Because I was going to go for a silver Mercedes, like a classic silver Mercedes Arrows car.
Well, that suits the car.
Yeah.
But what about like a tobacco brown? I always thought those looked great on old Mercedes cars.
And brown interior too.
Brown interior,
Like full
interior,
brown.
Yeah, so much brown.
It's a
GPS.
lot of
See,
brown.
how hard is it going to be to keep it clean? That's where I start. And
Brown maybe
from
the
there.
easiest thing to keep clean.
yeah, black sure ain't.
No. I was on a real Muirblau kick. So, it's that deep, non-metallic, almost, very dark, blue on Porsche. But I think Jeff Zwart has sort of co-opted that as his color. But that is a great color. Our buddy Tom Horan from the Grand had a GT3 Touring 991.2 that I fell in love with. If I had the money, I would have bought from him. It was just gorgeous. So I like
that it's okay if that's your color. I mean, you can emulate the life at
Mr.
Zwart
Green,
speed
though?
approach. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. There are a lot of things I could emulate from him. But Brewster Green is sort of, for me, surpassing Muirblau lately. The Porsche
But
configurator.
could you commit to that if it's Brewster Green
for everything? I think I could, and I would do painted wheels. Right? Like you can't often you'd have to do special wishes on a Porsche to get like a green interior, especially on a GT car or something. But I think I could do Brewster Green. I've always had a thing for green cars. And you guys, I alluded to Lexus before, but you're children of the 80s and 90s, right?
Yeah. Well, they had that black jade color that was black, and then in the sunlight it was the dark green.
Yeah,
and BMW had that
Oxford green.
Was that what it was a metallic one too. They had like a darker metallic. It wasn't as dark
Oxford?
as black jade.
Okay.
But it was like a dark metallic green, and a ton of cars were that color.
There were, but there are hardly any anymore, and I think it needs to come back. But I and I'll tell you about this later. But I was invited with some of my pals to check out Blue Chip here in the Denver area, and they had some amazing cars. But one of my absolute favorite cars was they had this beautiful E39 M5, and what I think was Oxford green or something like that. And I think very few of those were made. A lot of those cars were black, blue, whatever.
Yeah, that wasn't an M color as much. It was more the regular 5 Series.
Such a good car. It just, something about those cars. Those are just peak BMW in my mind. But anyway.
Yeah, well, because then that was immediately followed by the Bangle era, which made everybody love the preceding ones much more.
Yeah, I still struggle.
And that was the era that BMW did those BMW films. Like the BMW advertising was on point, the design was on point, the driver series, because Clive Owen was the driver. Do you guys remember those?
Yeah, and the caboose was on point too. Those were something. Those cars. Well, what about you? So I'm going to commit to Brewster Green or some. I'll tweak it just a little bit to make it my own. Call it Barky Green. But what would you go? What would you?
Okay, so what popped into my head was, I don't know if you guys saw. So Bo Bachman has that pink Chroma Flare GT3 RS that they just posted a picture of when it was picked up, and I hadn't seen the interior before. Yeah. And it's this magenta sort of unicorn, really unique exterior. And then in the interior, he did purple leather with purple and teal plaid inserts.
Oh, stop. Which
now that breaks my rule, obviously, but
let your freak flag fly.
Right? You can always count on Bo for amazing colors. And like very bright and cheerful. I mean, he has the Bowberry Ford GT. That's that metallic pink or metallic magenta, just gorgeous. Yeah. I mean, I think I would have to go with something pinkish, but
that suits you.
then it has to be pink interior too. If I'm following my own criteria, so I would do whatever car it was. I would probably go with the magenta Chroma Flare exterior or the Bowberry metallic magenta, so that it was like a dark, like a raspberry interior. There we
that's a
go.
color they know you're coming, right? Like they know you're rolling up. That's it.
Yeah.
Dan, did we get a commitment for? I mean, we were back and forth on
Well, if I
the silver
can't
and the
have
brown.
silver,
Yeah.
then the yellows that are found, like the
Ooh.
yellow bird. And in fact, the logo for my company, I took a sample of the yellow bird and used that yellow for the company logo. So
So
if I
that's the
can't have
perfect
silver, it's yellow.
choice.
Yeah,
Right.
that's a
Yeah.
great color. You know, Don, the fellow who owns Porsche Colorado Springs, he's a speed yellow man, and so he has everything in speed yellow. I'm more of a signal yellow guy myself, but I I appreciate that, and he's made it his own, and I could see you in doing a rocking a
I
yellow
think the
car.
biggest
Yeah.
challenge is, though, I'd probably get double the amount of speeding tickets that
That's
two of you would get, standing out like a
I don't
sore
know.
thumb.
I mean, have you seen that GT color? It is pretty
Yeah.
notable. But I love the yellow idea because it's so cheerful.
Yeah,
And I think it would
I like
lift your
yellow.
mood, even if you were having a bad day, and it would brighten everybody else's days around you. So I think
Yeah.
and I don't think you'd get tired of it the way you might
Yeah.
some other colors. I think
I
it has
think
more staying power.
yellow, though, guys, is a very form-specific color. And this came up, our buddy Dan McInnes, who has a Python green
Yes.
Spider, among other things. But he said he's not a fan of yellow cars. And I said, it's kind of car dependent. I really like signal yellow because the color just looks so different on different, especially that speed yellow. I had a friend, rest in peace, not him, the car, a beautiful 993 C4S with the Aero kit back in the day. And I don't think I'd ever seen a cooler car up to that point, right? But like on a 991 or 992, I don't think speed yellow looks nearly as good, right? There's just too much square mileage, whatever,
Not
right?
enough
There's just
breaking it
too
up.
much acreage, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
you got to have that. I don't know. That's a color that on bigger cars just doesn't work nearly as well. Do you remember that Miata, the NA Miata, the Sunburst or whatever you could get? It was very similar to a speed yellow or a signal yellow, right? And I said that was a cool looking thing,
I
But
think
again,
maybe
small,
the difference is because every now and then I will see an 250 or 350 quad cab long bed
Oh,
raised
yeah,
up.
yeah.
There's a handful of those. And the official color from the factory was called Screamin' Yellow.
Screaming
And-
yellow, right?
And it's sort of remarkable in its grandiosity.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
I think
yeah.
there's one in Seattle. There was one down here for a bit. And every now and then I see it. And so I wonder if it either has to be quite small or enormous.
Yeah, yeah.
Because
yeah,
it just
right, like a
works.
school bus.
Right. But every time I see one of those trucks, I smile. Like
Yeah,
they're just
yeah,
because
yeah,
they're just
yeah.
so sort of big, and maybe because it's like an adult Tonka truck.
right. Dan, do they have school buses in the UK?
We do, but they're just like coaches.
They're not
They're
yellow.
not dedicated.
Okay, that's
like
an American
vehicles.
thing.
Yeah.
Because we had some friends from Germany visit us one time, and there were certain things they wanted to do. They wanted to take home an American mailbox, so like your classic red, like put on a post, kind of rounded at the top, and they had a really tough time finding a red one for whatever reason. And then they got
Is that
really
the
thrilled when-
carry-on? Like, how do you?
Yeah, I don't know what you do with that. And then they wanted to see a school bus. Like they got really excited to see an American school bus. Like that was a real just sort of iconic American thing. It was I guess like a double decker bus or whatever for us.
Right. It's like we all have. It shows you what your definition of another country is when you go and you're like, okay, these are the things I want to see because in my mind, this is what makes up this country.
Each his own or her own, but I
Right.
think there's something to that. When you have a lot of metal, you start thinking school bus with yellow,
Yeah.
and especially non-metallic.
Right.
So
Well, and it's funny because this
Anyway.
one is, you're right. Like it's not school bus yellow, but it just works. Like I think just because it's so big, but yeah,
Well, to bring this back to Retromobile, would you go back? And
I would.
What would you do differently, or what did you miss that you'd want to see next time, or? Because I'm thinking this is a that car show field trip.
2026. I mean, at a minimum, the
yeah.
New York show.
Well, that makes it a little easier for sure.
That's a lot
Yeah.
more. That's more accessible for us, obviously. But they will be at Car Week, so I will introduce
Excellent.
you. We can
That'd be
hang with the
fantastic.
boys and learn more.
So I
I
think the
definitely would go back. It's because it's so diverse, and it changes every year.
Yeah.
And I definitely didn't see everything, even though I covered a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And I mean,
I'll
and
bring the
Paris,
pate.
right? Paris is always a good idea. So
Yeah.
if it's a question of do you go to Paris? Yes, you always go to Paris.
Yeah, right on.
The answer is always
Like you're
Paris.
thinking.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
Dan, you
it
were
was
saying,
awesome.
sorry, it's
Yeah, I was just going to say that I think a couple of days before the show was the Fat Ice Race.
that's right.
So you could do that,
In
then
Austria.
go combine.
Yes, I was immediately kicking myself for not realizing that sooner, because that would be the ultimate itinerary: is go
Yeah,
to the Fat
yeah.
Ice Race and then make your way to Paris, and then you're there for the Rétromobile
Yes.
preview, and then the RM auction, because that was happening. I was in the air when that happened, so I didn't go to that one. But then you could definitely go to RM. You could go to Bonham's, and then you would still have a couple days of the event to go to. And if you went to the preview, you'd get to see a lot of it with a smaller crowd too. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I was a little disappointed speaking of Fat Ice Race, that apparently they're not doing it here in Colorado this year. Maybe it's going to be every
Oh,
other
I
year
wondered.
thing or something. Let's not joke. That's not a race. That's a party.
It's an excuse to get together. And I mean, well, did you
there's some
hear,
racing going on, but
and did you hear that at the one in Austria this year, one of the cars rolled in the ski race?
No.
One of the
This is
cars
where
that was
they're
pulling a
pulling the people
skier.
on skis. Yeah.
And one of those
And the-
cars rolled, and they managed to,
Wow,
everybody
what-
got it righted and carried on its way. But can you imagine
happened to
being
the
that
skier?
skier?
But it was
you're
only a
booking
Beetle,
it.
wasn't it?
What's
Like,
that?
you think about the cars that they had there. Luckily, it was a Beetle, I think, that rolled.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
So they were able to just flip it over and, carry on.
That's right. That
Or
Imagine if it was a
Nazi
300
technology.
imagine if it was a Ferrari 400.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Well,
green.
that already looks like a pancake, so it's
Right.
it's shoot.
Yeah. It was
Well,
remarkable.
sounds like an awesome time.
It was. Well,
against
and-
squad goals.
Right. I know. You were both very missed. It would have been amazing to have you with me. One thing that I wanted to say about Bonham, or that I wanted to share about Bonham. So they had these 5 cars displayed up above outside at the Grand Palais, and the history and the experiences of those cars combined was unbelievable. And one of them was a Ferrari 166 Barchetta, which is the car that I drove behind when I drove the Cobra in June for the car show. I was following a 166 Barchetta. So I walked up to, these 5 cars and I went, wait a minute, I've been on the road with one of these.
That's
And
awesome.
a couple of them. So there was a Ferrari. What's interesting, and I want to find out more about this because it had 2 years listed. It said 54 to 55 Ferrari. It said Tipo 555 F1 Racing single seater.
Okay.
So I don't know why it would have a year range. I need to look into that more.
They may have competed it in 2 seasons of Formula One.
Rebodied it, maybe.
Oh,
even?
that would make sense. Yeah, that's a good theory. But yeah,
Yeah,
it was, and seeing that combination of cars in that setting, and then those cars are still actively being driven. A lot of them had
Awesome.
Mille Miglia stickers. They had
Yeah.
Monaco rally stickers from all over Europe. And I mean, one of them had 10 or 20 stickers on it. So they're being driven to this day.
Well, this conversation I mentioned with Eric Meinhof of Bonhams and our pal Maurice, they hit on something that I don't think is talked about enough. But it's something that has we talk a lot about within the grand circles. But a car's value with all now the events. So you've got the California Mille, the Colorado Grand, the Mille Miglia, all these other things. Years and cutoffs. Like you can have one model, but if it's a year too new, you can't run it, right? In one of these events, and that can affect the value by 50% in some cases, right? It's really interesting. This has become such a thing now to run these cars, which is awesome, right? It's what the cars want, right?
Yeah, it's very in
but
line
it
with
is
all of our
really-
philosophies.
Yeah, really interesting how it's affected values, and this Eric made a good point too. If the car originally ran in the event, that even extra points, right?
That'd be
But
amazing.
he gave an example of one car where you get a 64 version or whatever, and it's a $30,000 car, and you get a 59 version, and it's an $80,000 car or whatever. whatever. So it's
Yeah.
interesting. And I think that experiential stuff, whether it's the Fat Ice Race, whether it's, any of these rallies, these tours, it's kind of where it's at. Right. And so I think, any of these cars that are eligible are just, that's where that's where you should put your money, but that's my 2
Right.
cents.
Yeah.
I do wonder if there'll be some rallies that'll be for newer cars, right? We've talked about this before. The Colorado Grand, it's 1960 and older, right? And that is not a sliding scale. That will always be. But when the Grand started, I think in 1989, a 1960 car that was less than 30 years old, and you think about, what a 30-year-old car is now. It's a car from the 90s. Like, that's crazy, right? So I don't know. Maybe we need to start our own rally.
Well,
I'll run Berettas.
Open to bribes.
Right. GMC Typhoons.
if anyone has a GNX that they want to let me drive, I'd be open to that. That'd be
Well,
amazing.
now none of us can afford those because
Right.
Kendrick Lamar, right? And was I the only one that was bothered by him walking on it? Or is that
Yes.
just
Did you see the clip of the detailer who had worked on it
Oh no.
after
no.
the show? So
God.
it's an independent guy in LA, and he said he was contacted a couple months before the Super Bowl, and they
Okay.
didn't tell him whose car it was, didn't give him any
Yeah.
details. They may have told him it was for the Super Bowl, but just like, hey, could you
Okay,
work on this
sure,
car
sure.
and prep it? So he said he worked on it for 6 hours, and as he was working on it, he kind of put together who it was and what was going on. And then he said, so he worked on it for 6 hours, got it immaculate and beautiful. They shipped it off, and then he was watching the show going, oh, and he's
Lord.
standing on the roof. Oh, and he's standing on the hood. Oh, he's scratching.
What was that beautiful E30 M3 that Zuckerman had that ended up in a
Oh,
hip hop
that
video
was it
of some
Travis
sort?
Scott? Who
Yeah, that's what it was.
just
It was like
turned
one of the
into
best
a-
examples, most original low mileage examples in the world, and like
painful.
I don't even I struggle with like junkyards and things, right? Because I kind of like those cars. I attach an emotion, to them or whatever.
Yeah.
And just but at the
that
same time,
one.
I'm glad to see these cars out and driven too, right? In the rallies and such. But
Yeah.
anyway, so
Well, and of course, I found a 289 Cobra.
did you? It's,
Turned around. They had a line of cars below this, magical display, and there was a Cobra, and then they were loading a Porsche 930 into the transport, so that was kind of fun to see too. So yeah,
I'd take a 289 over 427, says the man who's driven neither.
you are correct. Although
Okay.
I want to drive a 427 before I.
Yeah.
Yeah, since I've only driven a 289, I can say that's absolutely the right answer.
Anything else to put a bow on Rétromobile? I'm not even trying
It
to
was
say it in
just
French.
magical.
That's
Rétromobile.
so cool. You
That's
got a chance
as well as
to
I
go.
can do.
It's like one day you weren't. No, I hadn't heard a thing, and the next day you were on a plane. It was awesome. We were rooting for
Yeah,
you.
it was. Sometimes everything just lines up at the very last
Yeah.
second, and you find yourself in Paris for 2.25 days.
That's well. I'm going to segue Paris
Yeah,
to Paris
let's do it.
to Dakar. Haha. See what I did there, Dan? You mentioned, I didn't know this, that the Dakar, the Porsche Dakar or Dakar, however you want to say it, and I say it different ways, different days. Apparently, one of my driving highlights over the last couple of years, I fell in love with the thing. It's a car I would buy if I had the budget in the garage. But you said they're going to do a new one. It's been confirmed, and it's a
There's
hybrid.
rumors. There's rumors.
Rumored.
Let's
Okay.
not, get
Well,
sued by
I know who we
Porsche.
can ask. Yeah.
But the Dakar is based on the GTS, and we know that the GTS is now a hybrid. So the rumors that are literally in the last couple of days are that they'll do I guess it's a 992.2 Dakar,
Okay.
and incorporate that hybrid technology.
Well,
Ooh.
I think they're still selling for way above sticker, right? $100,000 or something, right? So it makes all the sense, I'm glad I don't own one of the early ones, but maybe I would be, right? Being NA, but hey, they'll sell every one they can make, right? I mean, it's an awesome concept, right?
So what does that get you? Do you think that gets you a little bit more range, like miles to the gallon, and a little bit better performance? Because it's a really small hybrid engine, isn't it? Battery.
Yeah, I think it's more of a performance thing, right? I
Yeah.
mean, but I think you can go battery only for 5 miles or something, right? And at least you can on the current hybrids, and so there's that. And
Did you
But
feel
yeah,
that
it's
car
nominal
used?
range.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did it need more performance when you had it?
I didn't think so. It definitely doesn't have, like, because I had driven, the day I drove, spent some time in that one, thanks Porsche Colorado Springs. I was in a 992 Carrera S, also PDK. And it definitely eats what's the difference in power? I think the point one, it's not a lot, 40 horsepower.
Like, did you feel
Yeah.
it when you were in the cars?
I felt like they felt similar, right? And I think because you've got the big tall tires and stuff, right? I mean, it probably saps a little bit of that rotational mass and all that. But I also feel like you're not, at least I wasn't comfortable in pushing it the same way that I was the standard car, right? Just, it was a very expensive car. It wasn't mine. It was raining out, right? But
Yeah.
I kind of have a sense of the standard car, the Dakar. You're just, you're sitting up higher and all that. But no, I thought that was a very strong, it felt like the right amount of power. I guess that's the more important question, right? It felt like the right amount of power. And I don't know if a hybrid would take away or not. I'm sure it wouldn't. Right? It's such a seamless thing. But no, I don't think it lacked for power. My 2 cents. But,
No, that's the rumor right now.
yeah.
That's
I mean,
exciting.
it's an
Watch
exciting
this
proposition.
space.
Yeah. The problem with Porsches, guys. Sorry, I'm going to go for a little rant here.
Careful, you'll lose an allocation.
What is it? Rant is coming.
Here's the thing: you can get an allocation, but it's still going to cost you, right? And as we learned from John and Justin, but they've just gotten so expensive. And it's just, I think it's another reason I'll probably have this GT4 forever, because it's probably the last of the cheap GT cars, right? This thing has 6,000 in options. You can't do 6,000 in options in a Porsche anymore, right? I mean,
No, that's like half of one
because
option.
it's packages, right? It's packages now, right? And if you want the lightweight seats, and if you want the special, it's just, and before you know it, you're adding 50% or more to the cost of the car. And I just, it doesn't change the driving experience. And here's the thing: if you can't spec one, if you don't get an allocation, you're buying something that's been spec'd for you, and you're not buying too many, base cars, right, off a lot, right? So that is my biggest thing. I've just had it's like everything, eggs, whatever. But I've had real sticker shock lately, pricing out Porsches, like at least on the configurator. So I imagine even a sticker on a new Dakar is going to be, I don't know what, 250, 300. I don't know.
I think it's over three. I think.
Yeah. Okay.
I don't know about sticker or like used prices right now.
Yeah.
But,
Maybe both. But
and maybe they won't do a limited, because at the moment they're a limited run, right?
yeah, or effectively limited, right? That's
I think they're all numbered.
Allegedly.
I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, so maybe, hopefully they, imagine if they didn't do it as a limited car.
yeah.
But,
Would one appeal over the other to either of you? I mean, would you rather have the NA or? I'm not a
I think
hybrid hater.
No, I don't have any strong feelings about hybrids
Yeah.
either way. I think NA is just more what I'm familiar
Yeah.
with. So I'd probably, but I would want to drive both of them.
Yeah.
Make an informed
I don't
decision.
I've got no liking of my neighbours or dislike, so that's the only application I could
Of
see.
the hybrid of the Dakar.
Well, if going on battery, so you don't wake the neighbours
Right.
up, but
Yeah.
I don't care.
What's that song? Wake up the neighbors. Anyway, yeah.
I think when you're in a building where that matters, or a neighborhood that matters, it's sort of, there's an applied, all right, you're not living out in the country, right?
Get letters from the HOA and stuff.
Yeah. Well, all right. For the record, I love the Dakar. I don't care if it's NA or hybrid. Give me one tomorrow. I just can't afford
You'll just
one.
take one.
Yeah.
Well, so
Yeah.
you're spending a lot of time on the Porsche configurator. Any particular models that you're focused on?
I mean, I would love a new GT3 Touring. I would. It'd be one thing if you could go in and get one for sticker. Even that I can't afford. But there's $100,000 markup, right? If you're gonna get one. And our friends John and Justin from Porsche Colorado Springs said, you're getting a wing car. You're not even getting a Touring. So that's out of my league. But it is fun to configure. It is cool that now they have all the, the paint, the sample colors and stuff, although highly inaccurate on screen, but I don't know what you're supposed to do about that. But man, you can spend so much money so quickly, I mean, it's just, it's wild, but that's, I guess, what I would get in the current lineup if it wasn't an ST, right?
Oh, yeah.
But
That's a good choice.
I went into a dealer last week, so I've been thinking about
Dangerous.
downsizing the Corolla and just getting a Boxster or
Really?
something. Maybe. So my previous experiences, and I'll keep the dealer anonymous, but I will say it's part of the Auto Nation group.
Oh, boy.
And I went in and asked for the chap I'd always worked with, and Ron was the guy, and Ron's always been great. Like, when I thought that my Corolla wasn't going to appear, I was talking to Ron, and Ron walked me over to the sister dealership, which is a Mercedes dealership, which is next door, and he took me through a couple of used cars they had. So the point here is that he invested time with me, even though, one, I'd potentially bought a car, and two, he was thinking about the long-term relationship, which is obviously what the guys do down in Porsche Colorado Springs, and we talked about that.
Yeah.
So anyway, I went in to ask for Ron. Ron no longer works at the dealership. So I got talking to another gentleman who will be anonymous. And I said to him, I hear that you may have a SLK 55 AMG, but I'm looking at something like a Boxster and stuff. So I guess the first point of the story is that he didn't listen to me. So what I mean by he didn't listen to me is I said, well, I used to have a 2009 Boxster S. I loved it. Anyway, a 2009 car pulled into the car park, and he started to explain to me why that 2009 was better than a base previous model. And I went, well, yeah, I used to own one. I know. But the biggest
agree.
Also, don't you know who I am? Like, come on, you know.
Well, it's just a listen. It's an exercise in listening, right? So anyway, 2 days ago, or maybe yesterday, I saw that they had a 1999 911 for sale that had just come in with the body kit, had the taco wing on the back.
Nice. That's kind of rare, yeah.
I got a perspective from Mr. Dicey, and he spent a bit of time telling me what to look out for, what not to look out for.
Shout out Dicey.
So then I texted the gentleman, and maybe we call him Stephen for this exercise. And let me find the text because it was quite funny. So
At the Seattle Auto Nation Mercedes dealership?
and next door.
Okay.
Hi, what's the situation with the 1999 911? Just come in, possibly at Mercedes next door. Do you know anything about this car? I don't. It looks like they took it in on trade. Gotcha. Would it be possible to get some pictures of it? For that one, you'll have to call Mercedes. So whereas Ron previously would have probably got me the pictures,
Right.
he was not interested at all in...
John or Justin, you want something down at the Jeep dealership, they'll go down and take a picture for you.
Right.
Come on, you know?
So,
it's about the...
Well, it's long-term versus some people have vision, and this chap apparently did not.
Yeah, this is when you find a good one, you got to stick with it, whether it's a dealer, whether it's a salesperson, a service writer, whatever, mechanic. It's friends.
That's my dealership story of the week.
Well,
Bring back Ron.
Yeah, Ron, wherever you are.
Sucks, you know? I mean,
Ron,
it's just like,
where have you gone?
take my money, right? You know? Come on.
Yeah.
At that Jeep, aforementioned Jeep dealer, you may run into something that I didn't know was a thing until you told us both tonight, Dan. Jeep has apparently crossed a line you just don't cross with their customers. Something that boggles my mind if it's true. What's Jeep
It's
doing?
definitely true because there's evidence. But do you remember when BMW said, I think we're going to do a subscription service for seats?
Yes.
But to get heated seats,
all the hardware's there now.
Right.
But you weren't going to be able to activate
pay like a monthly amount, right?
Yeah, you have to activate the feature.
It appears like Jeep have said, hold my beer, because...
Hold my American watery...
Hold my Budweiser.
beer.
Because some Jeep owners, as they're driving along in their cars, are getting pop-up ads on their screens.
I mean, that's just wild.
So does it say that it's happening while the cars are moving?
Yeah. And this is Jeep trying to upsell. And Jeep have said it's a glitch. But come on, you don't get something on the screen that says, purchase peace of mind, Mopar vehicle protection.
Wait, so you have to hit a button in some cars that says, I accept the liability of using this infotainment system, but apparently an unsolicited pop-up ad is okay.
While you're
and
driving.
it'll let you do a Bluetooth call. So it's obviously a planned motion.
Yeah.
But,
Well, because you have to, the ad has to be created. Like somebody wrote the ad and produced it.
Yeah, it's not Max Headroom popping up.
Well, and that violates NHTSA guidelines. Like this
You
was a
think?
huge part of when my role at Zevo was creating the in-app content, and that was a huge topic for discussion
Really?
because one of the features of the platform that we were creating was that it could suggest offers like as you move through your day to make your life easier. Like if it knows you've just finished work, picked up the kids at soccer, and you're headed home for dinner, and there's a pizza restaurant on the way that has a great deal,
Yeah.
it could let you know that.
Yeah.
But
yeah.
the crux of it is like, okay, but we can't do that while they're driving because we can't distract them.
Interesting.
So what I'm wondering is, because, NHTSA guidelines too, that governs how much text can be on the screen, how many steps a feature can take, because it's every time you take your eyes off the screen, it's 2 seconds, or it can be no more than 2 seconds of your eyes off the road.
Yeah.
Which is still a really long time if you're at freeway speed. And so I wonder if the ads are supposed to be appearing when the vehicle is stopped, but maybe that's the glitch.
But they shouldn't be appearing at all. And I suppose it's
if
line
it's,
item written into,
like if
the
it's at a
accessory.
stoplight,
Yeah.
they can show it to you if the vehicle, because like there's some features in my truck where I can't I can't go through the pairing process if it's in motion.
Right.
But if I'm stopped, that kind of stuff, because it's more involved. So there's a way to control when you have access to certain features or when things appear, because they can tell when the vehicle's moving or not. So it'll be curious to see how this unfolds, because I wonder whether it's true or not, if they're going to say, well, they should only have been showing when it was at a light or a stop sign or something.
Yeah.
Because they had to make the ads.
Yeah, and I'm like envisioning trying to like get the little X in the top right corner to get it to go away.
Right.
It's just like, that is just wild. It seems wildly dangerous, and it seems wildly unethical and just bad business. And, you think they, I know Jeep's a little slow sometimes, but you think they would learn from BMW, right? That is just wild.
You can't be serving things to people while they're moving, because that's the peak of
Chrysler's
distracted
killing
driving
it these days. God.
Yeah. And if you could, Tesla would have monopolized it already, right?
Yeah. It's like the Polestar that we have that it never shut up about, because I really do like it for what it is. When you get in and it knows that it's 8 a.m, it knows you're going to school. So on the nav, it'll pop up. That's the first suggestion, right? Okay, that makes sense. That's additive, right?
Is that an
helps
Apple
me.
thing, or is that a Polestar thing?
No, so there is Apple CarPlay, but only if you connect your phone through a wired connection, which is interesting.
Really?
But honest to God, we don't miss it, because they have their own proprietary system, and it's effectively the same,
Well, and if it's predictive and it's offering helpful stuff, would you like the traffic on the route that I know you drive on weekdays in the morning? That's super helpful.
It is. I found a cool little thing, which probably the last person in the world who drives a Polestar has figured out, because it's literally a button on the steering wheel. But do you remember Saab? And do you remember, I hope you do. Saab
Does it have a ka-chow button?
What is ka-chow? That's...
in Lightning McQueen, in Cars, he has a ka-chow button.
No, but it has effectively a dark mode button, right? So do you remember in old Saabs, you could do a dark mode, so it would dim everything but like the speedometer and a couple.
Wasn't that a dial you would like?
I thought it was a button, like it was, but it may be different models or whatever. Yeah, and so this has a button. It's not quite dark mode, because you still have the screen in the middle, but it basically simplifies the screen in front of you, the dash, right? So that
like what it displays.
Right. So it defaults to like having a second map, which, I guess is good. But you hit this button and then you basically just get the very basic instruments. It's really, I don't know, it's very like Scandinavian and nice. And now it's my preferred driving environment.
I'm wondering, just on a different tangent, if we can reach out to Jeep and get them to put an advert for this show on the cars.
Is that our target?
Do a new podcast?
Is that our target audience?
Well,
hey, Daimler Chrysler people, have we got the show for you?
Welcome to the most distracting podcast you'll hear today.
I'm really going for that Hornet market personally, right?
That's the demographic you think.
That's the one I want.
Yeah. I think the only thing I just want to confirm that we're not liable if an ad for our podcast pops up and somebody has an incident while they're going to try and turn the podcast on.
Definitely a Jeep problem.
They see our headshots and they're distracted one way or the other.
Like, look at this. Who are these people?
I just just when you think some of these American car companies can't fuck it up more, there they go. You know, it's just like that is just so, you know, wow,
Man.
wow.
And
Yeah,
that's
to your point, Tesla should have been the one.
Right. Yeah. I suspect what they did is they built it into the systems,
Yeah.
but didn't want to release it.
Yeah.
And they've accidentally done something to release it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
like the functionality was always there in the background.
Yeah.
And something's happened and
somebody
Release
checked the wrong
plagues.
box. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not down with that at all.
Well, hopefully they get that sorted before there are any issues, because that's crazy.
But I'm hearing
Yeah.
this, I'm reading articles about like Jeep engines, like, you know, dying at 4 miles, and like, I mean, I just feel like there's some real issues. And then what they were talking about on the latest Spike's Car Radio, wasn't that a Jeep plant or something where there was a problem with someone in a bathroom? I don't want to go into details, you know, but I just think there are larger issues there. Maybe they shouldn't focus on pop-up ads and focus on the fundamentals for a minute. And I like Jeeps. I like the idea of a Wrangler, you know.
I loved my Jeep.
Yeah.
It's such an adventure vehicle.
There's something about it, right? I drove one from Denver to LA and back, and we stopped in Moab and did some light off-roading. I mean, it was a hell of a good time. I mean, it's just, you know, no death wobble or anything. I really enjoyed the thing, but then there's that kind of stuff, right? There's unknowns, or it's just, I don't want to roll the dice, you know. So anyway,
Dan, did you have a Wrangler?
Yes, the Rubicon. Yeah, it was.
You've owned a lot of cars.
I don't know about that, but yeah, this was 2018, so it was the newer shape. The only thing I did to it is I got them to put a bigger brake kit on it.
Oh,
so nice. They do from the factory. They do a bigger brake kit in case you're going to do lifted wheels, like the bigger wheels.
Oh,
I didn't put bigger wheels on it, but I just felt the brakes needed something, so I just paid. I think it was $1,000 at the time to get a bigger brake kit on it. But yeah, lots of adventures. It wasn't, you know, it handled like a boat, but that didn't matter. You know, it took me across multiple states, and
you get
I
used
slept
to it
in it a couple of times.
Yeah,
and,
Really?
it was a great deal.
Well, we know how Dan loves sleeping in cars.
Yes, it was more comfortable than the Ford Edge.
One way or another, Dan will find a way to sleep in the car.
Yeah, and sometimes when I'm lying awake, you know, ruining my life decisions or whatever, and I can't sleep, I think about sleeping in that. What was it? A GMC Terrain? What was that?
No,
a Traverse.
Ford Edge.
Oh, Ford Edge. That's what it was. They all blend
This was
together.
Pikes Peak last year,
Pikes
right?
Peak.
And we got up early to go up the mountain and realised that we got a good parking space, but there was nothing going on for a few hours. So we slept in the car.
Yeah.
But
All
I opened
three
up
of you?
the boot.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I opened up the boot and just lied in the boot.
Yeah.
It was magical.
Yeah, it was kind of that weird sort of like, you know, if you're a kid and you go to the dentist and they give you, what do they call it, butterfly gas or whatever. It's you know, and it kind of knocks you out halfway. You know, it's kind of like that, right?
Yeah, you're kind of in a
Twilight
zone.
Yeah.
Twilight, yeah, poppers, right? That's
There were no poppers consumed during that trip.
Unfortunately,
Probably could have used
right?
one, but yeah, that's. Hey, that was a great time. I see that media credentials are coming up for Pikes Peak. So,
Yes, I've started getting the emails.
I don't have to. If you either one of you want to make a, you know, it's no Retromobile, but we had a good time. Won't even
Just
make
go
you
to
sleep
all,
in a
we
car.
just go to all the events, right? There's no discrimination.
Yeah.
They're all
What I
amazing.
think this podcast needs is we need a airline sponsor. We need a car rental sponsor.
Spirit Airlines, where are you? That's
Yeah, and then maybe a hotel sponsor.
yeah.
And that way our lives would be a million times easier.
Absolutely.
Right.
So if you're listening, Spirit or Delta or
Please not
whoever.
Spirit. Please not Spirit.
British Airways,
Motel
Alaska.
8, Motel 8, is that someone?
Who is that?
Motel 8?
Oh,
That's the... aim high, guys. Come on.
aim high. The microtel is always an option, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
The Roadway Inn.
If you want a hotel room with nothing but fluorescent lighting, that's your move, right? Anyway.
That's
Is
a
that a
good
show,
time.
guys? Is that a show?
I think it
that's
is.
damn near an hour.
Yeah.
It was
I think
fun.
we've reached that point.
I think we've reached that point.
I
All
think
right.
we know we're going to France next year.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Maybe Pikes Peak. Maybe a Motel 8. Is it Motel 8 or Motel
Maybe
6?
it's Motel 6.
Motel 6. Okay. Yeah. It's more of a 6 than an 8.
Yeah. Tops out
Six
at
on
a
a good
6.
day.
All right. On that note,
Always be driving.
that's right. Till next time.